Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Jerred Moon. The Garage Gym Athlete Podcast is a result of my desire to build better humans, unequivocal coaches, and autonomous athletes. I've spent the last several years obsessing over program design, nutrition, and every other way you can optimize human performance. This podcast distills the latest scientific research with what I've learned and blends it with the not-so-scientific field of mental toughness. We are here to build you into a dangerously effective athlete. If you enjoy this podcast, you can find out more about our training at garagegymathlete.com. And if you want to pursue more into the field of coaching and programming, head to endof3fitness.com. Thanks for listening. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. Jerred Moon here with Rosa. How's it going, man?
Doing good, brother. How are you?
I'm good. Glad to have you on. So Marco this week is our athlete of the week, but also I guess we're throwing him to the coach of the week. And we don't get to hear enough from Marco. And so that's a big reason that we're bringing him on. He is the head of the Endure Track, an amazing programmer. But Marco, welcome back to the show. You've been on before, man. You want to give everybody a quick intro, however you see fit?
Absolutely, man. So I'm Marco Rosa. I'm originally from Italy. I am a former Navy pilot, but for the last 6 years, I've been a software engineer and Garage Gym Athlete and Garage Gym Athlete team member and programmer. And the team is not going to like the fact that you said that I'm the coach of the week. I'm just going to point that out.
Yeah, I kind of did it on purpose, just so maybe they'll want to come on as coaches later. But awesome. So what I think we're going to do today, like I said, Marco's in charge of the Endure Track, and he also does some personal programming for people on the side, but he's very particular about who he works with and why. And, if anybody knows if you listen to the podcast, we create a Meet Yourself Saturday workout. Joe makes it easier. Marco makes it harder. When we're talking about things to do with customer service, Marco takes the hard stance. Joe and some of the other team members take the soft stance. And so I think it's good to have this contrast on the team. But I think what we want to talk about, or what I want to talk about today, is just this idea of what mental toughness truly is, because I think it gets sugar-coated a lot. A lot of people trying to walk on eggshells and everything. So I'm going to kind of ask you a big question, just in your, I'm not going to jump to that question, but like in your view, like what is mental toughness? And we'll just start there. What is mental toughness to you, Marco?
Mental toughness, in my opinion, it's an attitude. It's how a person, an athlete, anybody approaches a problem and how well you adapt to the situation and how much you let the situation affect you rather than you putting a stopper to the situation going the wrong way and deciding to make it go the right way. That's mental toughness, in my opinion, and it applies to anything, from being at home, being a family member, being a garage gym athlete, at work, in everything you do.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that kind of definition there. And what would you say, the biggest problem you see with people in either their misconception of mental toughness or their lack of application? Because I know you have athletes who reach out to you specifically that you won't work with, but almost right off the bat, you're like, this isn't a person I'm going to be able to work with. Like, what are those triggers? Like, how do you know, like, this is not a person that you would be willing to work with?
I usually do like an intro interview, and if it's not a good fit, and I can tell pretty much from the first few minutes of the conversation. People that start making excuses, that they're not willing to put in the work, or they are, after I point something out, they start saying yes, but it's not going to work. You need to be disciplined. You need to be willing to put in the work. It's going to take time to do anything that it's worthwhile doing. So if you're not willing to do that, I'm going to be wasting your time, and I'm going to be wasting my time trying to get you to take the proper path to reach the goal that you want to reach. But there's no point in me forcing you down that road if you're not willing to go down that path yourself. And it's just a waste of time and a waste of money, and it's not worth it. So if I start hearing excuses, or if they start saying things that trigger that type of mentality, it's just not worth it. They're looking for a different kind of coach. They're looking for someone that is going to accept the excuses and try to change their attitude. I'm not a professional psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist or any of that stuff. I would rather them reach out to someone that it's a professional in that environment to make a change in that environment, and then come back to me and make some real hard changes in anything else they want to, as long as they're willing to do the work, because excuses are cheap. Doing the hard work is the hard part, but that's the only way to get results.
I get that. And I love that approach from you, because, you know, coaching is hard. You know, it is nuanced, and depending on where people are coming from, I mean, they should work with someone like you if they're like, look, I got all this stuff dialed in. I just need to know what to do to get the result that I want. And you're like, cool, let's go. No excuses. That's why I've always said, like, if I had to select a coach from our team to coach me, it'd be you, because you wouldn't put up with any of my BS. I'm like, my kids had a soccer game. You'd be like, I don't care. Like, go do your workout. I don't care if it's midnight, do it. Where do you feel like you picked up this mentality? To be honest, you have one of the most phenomenal work ethics I've ever come across, and you have a great mental attitude. Is this something you've, I don't know, born with? You are from a different country. You know, is this more of an Italian mindset, or is this something that you've developed over the years?
I wouldn't say it's an Italian mindset, because unfortunately, a lot of people that are from that country, and I mean, I open and close a parenthesis, I've been a US citizen for almost a year, and that's one of the things that I'm most proud of. So I'm American.
And congrats on that, by the way.
Thank you. But no, most of Italian people like to waste time and do things that I don't agree with. I think most of it comes from my family, the way I grew up. My parents were very strict with me when I was young, and I always had to do my best. Otherwise, there were consequences. And that got reinforced in the military when I was in the Navy. And I mean, I just adopted the mentality and saw that it works. I mean, I attended, as you know, a really hard event, 50-hour long, and I'm a small guy. I am now growing a little bit, but about a week ago, I was 145 pounds. I'm 5'7". I'm not that big, but I was able to last 50 hours, no sleep, getting tortured and all that, with guys that were like twice the size of me. It's simply by being hard-headed and not wanting to quit. And it all comes from the fact that it happened in the past that I decided to give up on something. And there's not one day that goes by that I regret making that decision. And I promised myself that I would never, ever, ever go down that path ever again. And I am not. Anything I do is either I don't do it or I do it 100%. There is no excuses, no justifications. If I need to work out, I'm traveling. Hey, as long as you can get your heart rate up, you can work out. You don't need equipment. You don't need stuff, especially if it's just a couple of days. Definitely don't need excuses. Find a way. Find a way to win. Find a way to get in your mind that you got to do it. There's no way you're going to be able to excuse yourself from doing something. So if you're committed to it, you'll find a way and you'll do it. And I mean, going back to the athletes that I decide to coach personally, I can work with the least prepared person on the planet, as long as they're willing to put in the work. If they're not, it's not worth his or her time or my time.
So do you feel like if an athlete has excuses or they're not, I mean, I don't know, they're just not doing 100% of what they're supposed to, you feel like they're just not fully bought into what they're trying to do in the first place?
Yes, I think so. I think that if they're not willing to put in the work and they're coming up with excuses, they're not invested in it enough. It's not important enough, because something that's important, you'll find a way to do it. So if you're not willing to commit and to do what you need to do to accomplish a goal, that means that it's not important for you enough so that you actually do what you need to do to reach it.
Yeah. And to be honest, that's what at Garage Gym Athlete in general, a lot of fitness websites try to cater to the market. They're like, they just want to be successful, so they start catering towards the language, six pack abs in a certain amount of time,
Mm-hmm.
lose this much weight this fast, all these things. And at Garage Gym Athlete, we've kind of planted the flag and we're like, here's what we stand for. You can come here if you want. And if you don't want to do what we're doing, then that's fine. Just go somewhere else that can help you. And I think that we agree in that mentality is like, we're not going to lessen our standards. We're not going to change things up if it's a little bit too difficult. Like, this is the standard that you need to adhere to. So what do we do with these other people? What if there's someone on the fence? They're the people who won't, they're not committed. They're the people who are. And some people just need a push. Like, what do you say to those people who are like, I don't know, they're just teetering on the edge and they could go either way? Like, how do we get them to the dark side, if you will?
If I see them that they're on the edge, I usually give them a trial period. Like, let's work together for a week, maybe two. But I usually can tell right away, even after a couple of days, if they start telling me, oh, damn, I was supposed to work out, but I didn't do it. Or I was missing this piece of equipment and I couldn't do this exercise, so I skipped it. It takes 2 seconds to Google alternatives, plan in advance. You know what you're gonna need to do tomorrow morning. You know what equipment you have. You can do something, reach out. I'll give you an alternative. Find it on your own. I mean, like I said, excuses. So I'm completely fine with giving a person a chance to prove me wrong. But 90% of the time I'm correct right away. That 10% of the time I'm willing to chance it. Sometimes it goes through, sometimes it doesn't. So I'm hoping to giving someone the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, and typically when I run into those people, I've seen them be successful somewhere else in their life. It's like maybe they're crushing it in their career or somewhere else, and you're just like, okay, well, I know you know what it takes. Like, you have it in you, but can you apply that mindset to, like, and that I run into this all the time in the entrepreneurship space. I see people who run a business, but their health is just absolute trash, right? And it's because they chase trying to make money for too hard, too long. But it's also, those are the people that I can typically see big transformations with, because they had that mindset somewhere else. Like, they were able to crush it in business. They knew that it took waking up early, being dedicated, focusing on the right things. And then once they can kind of shift that mindset to be like, okay, I just got to have that level of intensity, but it's got to be on these things. And that means you have to maybe cut everything else out. Is that something that you recommend to your athletes, like simplify the lifestyle, or do you take a different approach?
Absolutely, definitely. Go through your schedule, see what you can cut out that it's not important, and prioritize your tasks throughout the day. Make sure that the important stuff is at the top of your list and you get everything done. I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to work out so that I have the proper time to warm up, stretch, do a cool down afterwards, do an extra 10, 15, 20-minute run at the end of it, because I'm trying to reach some goals in my fitness. So, like I said, there's no excuses. That also means that I have to go to bed relatively early, 8:30, if I want to get at least 6.5 to 7 hours of sleep. So you have to prioritize your tasks throughout the day, throughout the week, and have a schedule. Planning, it's extremely important. We have a planner. We provide a planner, right? So to kill comfort. So it really, there is no excuse, especially, I mean, for our crew, our team especially, but all our athletes, we provide so many different tools to do this that there is really no excuses. And I mean, the mentality that is out there right now, the instant gratification stuff, that's not how it works. It's gonna take time. I had a goal last year to go below 10% body fat. It took me a year to do that. Being on a diet, being like precise with your meals and all of that. I mean, it took forever, but I reached it. Now I'm transitioning to a different goal. And that's another thing. You reach something, okay, you got to it. Set another goal for yourself. Don't just stagnate in that position. You reach the goal. Cool, perfect, congratulations. What's next?
Yeah, and what's funny, just the back end for everybody, Marco has been chasing that goal, and I would get periodic updates from him. Just we'd message each other back and forth. But what's funny about when he achieved the goal, I think it was like 16 minutes later in Slack, he's like, and here's the new, like, here's what I'm chasing next. I'm like, yeah, dude, you like barely even had a celebration about that one, but congrats. Okay, here's the next thing you're going after. So I do think that's important. I mean, how long can we really sit around and think about how awesome we are? If we achieve something, we really do need to be moving to the next thing. And, speaking of not making excuses, some athletes might not know this, but where are you sitting right now? And, where is your gym built in relation to your home? I'm sure a lot of people don't know.
Okay, so this is part of my living room. In front of me is my kitchen. On that side is my full living room. So my gym is a smaller corner of my living room. And at night, right before I go to bed, I usually pull out all the weights that I need for the day after, get everything set up so that in the morning, all I got to do is put the bar on, put the weights on the bar, do whatever I need, pull the box out, whatever, do the exercise, put everything back in place, sweep everything out, because otherwise boss lady is not going to be happy with me. Be careful of where I move everything out, be out of the way all the time, be conscious of my surroundings and the people around me, the paths and everything. But yeah, that's where I work out. And I mean, I have another pull-up bar outside on the patio that is for kipping, but I've barely been using it. Mostly as that guy. That's it. I mean, again, no excuses. I got permission to create that corner.
Yeah, that's probably the hardest part. So Marco builds a gym in his living room, and I have trouble convincing, as the owner of GarageGymAthlete.com, like I have trouble convincing that my wife that our garage should be fully dedicated to a gym. She thinks it should still be a car space. So any tips for anyone trying to build a gym in their living room? Like, how did you tell your wife? How did you convince her that this is a great idea?
I had to play around with it a little bit. So first of all, I mean, to get the rower, I had to go halves with her so that she can use it as well and use that as an excuse for her to like row while she watches TV or something like that. And then I told her, look, I wanted to get this big rack for me to be able to squat and everything, but that's going to go really far into the living room. So if you allow me to put a custom one in that it's much smaller, I'll take just the corner. It's away from the TV, away from your highs, and I'll keep it clean and everything. And I'll put the mats down so I don't ruin the floors. I'll get it. I can get it done. And she agreed. So I guess I'm blessed with the fact that my wife allowed me to do it.
That's awesome, man. It's just every time I'm thinking about training and then you pop up in my mind, I'm like, Marco's tackling this workout in his living room, which is awesome, man. You're crushing it there. Well, cool, man. I think we've hit everything that I wanted to hit for the most part. Let me look at my list here. No, I think we'll get into this with some of these other questions. So let's jump into them, man. What's the hardest workout you've ever done?
So really hard workout was a 50-hour event that was really hard. Even if, I mean, by the end of it, I probably could have gone farther, more hours. I was at the point where I couldn't feel anything else, so I couldn't go forward. But workouts, there are normal range workouts. Broken arrow, man, every single time I do it, especially after you and I spent that week doing it every single day for a week.
Right.
I have nightmares about it. But no, yeah, Broken Arrow and Marf are probably the artists, but for me, the Broken Arrow really, really gets me every single time, especially if I do it full with the vest and everything.
Yeah, it's got a Murph in it, so like it automatically trumps
exactly.
Murph by itself, right? All right, awesome. Well, in your opinion, what's the best activity for building mental toughness? I'd really love to hear your thoughts on this one here.
Do something that you don't want to do that bothers you every single day. I sweep the floor every day after I work out. I wash the dishes. I don't like to wash the dishes. Sometimes I don't want to work out. I still get up. The alarm goes off. I don't want to get out of bed. It's so comfortable. I get out of bed, get downstairs, get changed, work out. It feels so much better afterwards. So do something that you don't want to do, whatever that might be, in whatever realm that might be. Do something you don't want to do that it's beneficial to you, and do it with a smile on your face. It'll change your attitude and it'll help you.
I think that's huge. And to be honest, a big takeaway that I'm just getting from you, it's a lot of the small disciplines, man. They add up. Like you're like sweeping the floor after you do the workout. I think that's huge. And then also you mentioned putting every single thing in place when you're done. That's something I made more of a habit. I think I kind of did it naturally. Like I would just always put things away. But now that like my brother's training with me during the day and stuff, like we get a lot more stuff out, you know, because there's his stuff and then my stuff. And I think like one time, like we were both in a rush and we just like left it there. Like he had to go, I had to go. And I came back the next day and I was like, no, we're not. Like that's not happening again. And so we put every single thing back in its place. And it just makes it like it's a little bit, you don't really want to do that either at the end of the workout. You're like, you kind of just, you've used the equipment for what it's good for. So like, let's just leave it where it is. But then that screws up your next day and it slows you down when you're trying to set up for the next workout. So those small disciplines really, really add up.
And I mean, it's not just you, it's everybody else, especially in my case, when it's in the living room. I mean,
yeah,
I got permission to build this and use it. So it would be disrespectful, in my opinion, for me to leave everything out while everybody else needs to do everything else in the living room or the kitchen. I mean, it's just not the way it should work. I mean, you need to take care of yourself, but you also need to take care of everybody else around you and be conscious of it.
Completely agree. I mean, if you could only have one piece of equipment to train with for the rest of your life, what would it be?
I'm a big proponent, like Joe, of rings.
Yeah.
Because they can really, really destroy you. When I do dips, I have you can see the TRX over there. I use those. I don't do it off the box because off the box are too easy. So I do it off the TRX. It's just like rings. You can do so many things and you can get so much done with it.
Awesome, man. Well, last one here. What is your best advice for all the garage gym athletes out there listening right now?
First of all, if you're not part of our group, try it out. I dare you. I dare you to try it out and not get even the smallest benefit after 2 weeks. If you are part of the group and you have the tendency of track jumping, try to stick to a track for at least a cycle, if you can, for a year. Because the way we build the tracks, we actually look at the full year. So it will be beneficial for someone to actually go through the full extent of our programming for at least 1 year. But I mean, that's conditional. I mean, you don't have to, obviously, but that's something. If you are someone that comes up with a lot of excuses, needs help, and is willing to do the work, reach out. Jerred, you mentioned this in our previous last webinar, that we're going to be changing things in terms of coaching, and we're going more toward a one-on-one for the next year. Guys, take advantage of it. Our team is a great team. Every one of us has something that it's amazing at. and it will be extremely beneficial for you guys to take advantage of it. It's not going to be cheap, because I will learn that the cheap stuff doesn't work. People need to be committed to it, and unfortunately that also means putting money forward to actually secure a program that it's worth. But take advantage of it. We are here to help you out. We do this for you guys, so use the resources as much as possible and put in the work. Don't come up with excuses. Every time you come up with excuses, put a bracelet on your wrist and snap it. I don't know, do something, but every time you find yourself coming up with an excuse for something, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's fitness related. Just stop yourself, realize what you're doing, change that 180, and do what you're supposed to, and forget the excuse. It's not worth it. It's a bad habit.
Awesome, Marco. Yeah, I just love the team, because we're all like we do have different skill sets, and then also just different mindsets, and we balance each other out really well in that regard when we're doing new things. But then to you specifically, Marco, I mean, I really appreciate you being a part of the team. Like I mentioned, you have the most phenomenal work ethic I've ever seen. Your views on mental toughness are very similar to mine, even though I have to kind of like, bring them in regards to like a customer service standpoint sometimes. That I still really appreciate them, and just love having you be a part of the team, man. So thanks for being a part of the team, for everything you've shared with the athletes today, and for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. It's been a pleasure so far.
Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. If you want to learn more, go to garagegymathlete.com. You can learn about our training. Let us send you a copy of our book, The Garage Gym Athlete, or you can even get featured on the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. Thanks for listening.